using their Simplicité Ritzy colour. It's really beautiful. It's got so much glitter in it. Look at that. It's going to show you how to actually adapt the system that we've got to use it and build in a colour. So on the nail here, I've got a tip and I've blended it in. So I'm going to apply my poly base, and we're going to use that as a sealant over the whole of the nail. All I've done here is done the prep, filed a tip in, and ready to move on with our dipping powder in the colour. So with the poly base, I'm going to do an all over base coat. Now, if you notice, I'm actually putting this on like a nail varnish. I don't want it to be floated like a gel. As soon as anyone gets an Enigma based product, they want to float it. Just stretch it out like a natural nail varnish. That's going to go in and cure for 30 seconds. You need to have that as the base, because what that's going to do is act as a bond between the natural nail and the tip and what we're going to be putting on top. The reason why we don't want to float it on is because the powder will only absorb a certain amount. So the thinner you get it on, allow the powder to absorb in and gets the density of colour. The colour powders are much finer than what our builder powders are. So on these I'm going to do 2 coats and go all the way to the cuticle, where in the builder powder we go to the cuticle in the first layer and only 2/3 up. Now to come for me. We've got a nice length on that, so we're going to do our second coat, poly base. Now it self-levels, which is really lovely. As it just glides on, it will find its own level for you. It will follow the contours of the nail. So you can't actually do a bad nail with it, because the powder, once it's absorbed, it won't over-absorb because it's got nothing left to go into. When we slide and glide the nail in, we're going to do it at a 45-degree angle. So it's going to go in, go all the way up to the nail, tap it off, and you can see how easy the coverage that is. Now if that's sitting there, all that's going to absorb, and you can actually, if you look closely, you can see it absorbing into the gel, which is really quite fascinating, because it won't, once it's full, it's got maximum colour there. So I'm not going to brush that off. I'm going to put it into cure, and you can actually see it changing under there, which is nice. You can do all 5 fingers with this one. So if I was doing a whole hand like this, I would paint all 5 nails, and I would dip all 5 nails. The beauty of this product as well is it's odourless. You can actually do natural nails with it, put permanent polish over the top. You can build in the colour. I've got a colour built in mine. You can even put art on it, do lots of different effects, and lots of different ways. It's great to play with. But the beauty of it, when you look down the barrel of the nails, is how fine they are. Even left-handed, I can do my own left-handed. I've got the density of colour and the beauty of the shape. Once it comes out, underneath is cured. You don't have to activate anything, and that's the beauty. Once it goes in the light, the chemistry is all in this bottle. So once it's cured under the light, it's cured. I'm going to do a second coat. Now remember, you've got to be really neat around your cuticle area on this, because where you put that gel and our poly base is actually where it's going to absorb. And I'm going to show you a few little hints and tips after this as well. So if your painting isn't quite as neat as what you want it to be, I'll show you a few tips of how to get around it. See that, as lovely as it is? I could actually get away with that on its own. I don't actually think it needs a second coat. So I don't think to get that, doesn't need a second coat at all actually. That's got from the side, can you see that's perfect? And I've got density of colour in one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that and cure it. I'm going to show you then how to bring it round all your edges and make that even neater. Pop that in for me. If you need to add a little bit more of an apex in there, then you dip in a clear powder to encapsulate that. And that's going to need hardly any filing at all, and that's why it's going to be so quick, so easy. We timed me filing a set of nails earlier over a natural overlay, and on one hand, on a natural overlay filing, it took 2 minutes 55 seconds. That's how quick it is. Now if you look around the edges and you find you've got some bit missing because of your painting skills, you can do this, and we're very familiar with this with gel polish. You can actually just intensify it by dry brushing that in. And this is how you do your colour fades as well. It's just by literally, while it's got the tacky residue on, and if you want to intensify it, you can just brush it round, and that won't add any bulk, but what it will do is fill in any colours under there. and then we're going to seal it. We're going to seal it with number 4. Taking the excess off. And that's neatened all around those areas. Can you see how intense that colour is? This is one of my favourite colours because it actually just absorbs all the way through. Okay, pop that in for me. If you need to add a little bit of bulk, like I say, you can put a clear dip powder over the top of it to allow yourself to file so you won't damage any of the colour underneath, and that will just give you a bit more substance. Only a 30-second cure. The benefits of this is it's very easy to learn, it's very advanced, it's lightweight and strong on there. You don't actually feel them on your fingers at all. No. And that's what people like about it, is the thinness and the lightness on the finger. It's totally odourless, so it's ideal for your spa treatments, it's ideal for your beauty therapists. It links in for nail extensions and on natural nails. So I'm just going to wipe away any residue. Now what the sealant done is make it a solid, because otherwise I could feel all the bits and pieces on the top. So all I'm going to do now, because that is so smooth, it's just lightly buff and refine. So we're going to refine filing, taking the side edges. And if you notice, I'm using a combi buffer, and that's because it is so fine. I don't need to take a lot of bulk off, so all I'm doing is refine that filing. Making sure it's nice and smooth. Check down the barrel of the nail to make sure it's nice and smooth. Make sure it's even all the way across. And that is all the filing I need to do. I'm now going to wipe it clean and then just reseal so it comes up nice and glossy. So on a short nail, you just need to dip the once. On a longer nail, you can dip twice, maximum twice. And you can see from the side, that's got all the bulk that needs to be there. So to pop that in for a cure, and that's how you put a colour on. If you're doing it over a nail enhancement, if you just have your nail enhancement underneath and you dip in a colour, it's going to be slightly paler than if you actually build the layers within the colour. So just have a play around, have some arty things. We've got lots of different colours within the system. You can actually even add some glitter through the bottom and do a colour fade. And with that, I would put the top coat on. Just dab it in with the brush, literally, through here, and stroke it up, and that will actually take glitter through there and not add any bulk as well. So you need to really play around with that. Wipe the tacky residue off the top using cleanse. A little bit of oil to finish, that's lovely and smooth. But that feels so lightweight on it, doesn't it? And that's why people like it. They actually don't feel like acrylics or gels. It doesn't have the lightness. You've got the odour free. It's so simple. You get the depth of colour within our powders. You can actually build with it into a natural. You can build with it in colours. You can build with it and put permanent polish over the top. You can actually do whatever you like about it. It soaks off really easily because of the removable ligmas that we've got, and with the polymer powders. What they actually do is when you soak it off, you'd actually then file off the top surface, nice and thin, pop it in the acetone, and it takes up to about 20 minutes. Very simple. That's why it's called Simplicité, because it's so simple. Some people actually said to me this morning, I can't believe it's that easy. Yes, it is. You need to have a play. Now on this one, I'm going to actually do a maintenance. So this is a client that would come back, and I'm going to show you how to maintain that natural now. This one is maintenance within a colour. I've got glitter everywhere now. I'm shining all over the place. So let's give it a spray. Do your cuticle work as you would normally. Okay. Check the length is okay for you. Is the length okay for you?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Reshape the nail like you would almost any nail enhancement. Okay, and then take the bulk of the natural nail and blend in that regrowth area. And this is where your maintenance is really going to speed up if you're actually going to be having a colour. Because when you build in a colour, you don't actually have to paint anything because it's already there. So even though you can build up in a natural and then put a permanent polish on the top, it's an extra step into it. Where if you're actually dipping within a colour, the colour is already there and it can stay nice and thin, which is what we're all after. Okay, so I've blended in the nail, remove the dust, and that's where we go from the system straight from the bottom. We're going to prep the nail. Okay, prep has got number 1 on the bottle, so you can't miss any steps because it has number 1, number 2 and number 3. Then we're going to apply the bonder to nail. This is like a primer, and what this does is make sure that it does act like double-sided sticky tape and actually bond everything together. Number 3, the basis of everything. Everything works around this poly base, number 3. We're going to just do a coat over the whole nail. Okay, what we're going to do now is cure that, because what this is going to bond everything together to make sure that all the layers underneath and the new layers are going to bond together. So just pop that in for 30 seconds, 2 minutes in a UV light. This has got lovely bits of glitter in it, so it's nice to have a little play. With this one, we've also got these new jars that are coming in. You're going to have to like pre-order these. I think they're going hotcakes out the window. These are all going to be like silk screened, and you can put any colour you like in here. I've got my builder powder in here because I personally like the pink silk. That's my favourite powder. Use that quite a lot. Looks nice on the table. Put whatever colour you like powder in there, the one that you're going to use the most. You can rock and roll with that. So that's come out now. So now I'm going to do my second base coat with poly base number 3. As you can see, see how nice and thin that is. You paint it on like a varnish. Don't float it. You don't have to build with it. Allow the product to do the work for you, and that's the beauty of it. When you put it on, it's got self-leveling. It's automatically smoothing itself over, hugging the shape of the nail. So when you actually slide and glide your powder into that nail, it can't get too fat. Okay, so just take that right up to the base, up to your regrowth area. Tap the excess off, pop it into cure.
Someone actually asked an acrylic question.
Said,
what are your recommendations regarding acrylic powders for French ombre?
For this system?
No, it's an acrylic.
An acrylic for a French ombre. The one I like is the perfect pink and then the soft white. If that's for a French one like a baby boomer. Yeah. But look out, we've got a brand new powder coming out, which is a high pearl white. It's not here yet. It's called Wedding White. It's going to come out very soon, and that is perfect. You're going to die for it. Love it. I also quite like using the disguise powder as well because it's got a slight pink shimmer in it, and I think that makes a nice one as well. And that's from the Masquerade collection. 2 totally different looks. Okay, we're just going to brush the excess off that. You see that glitter really come up there, and then we're going to seal it. Okay. Now the reason why we seal it before we file it is because that's like having a bit of sandpaper. If you feel that, you can feel the beads of some of it is underneath it, and you've actually got a slight rough surface now. If you start filing that straight away, bits are going to be flying off all over the place. So we're going to seal it to make it a compound.
Sarah's asked what colour is it that you're using now on the maintenance nail?
This one is Whisper in the Wind.
And Laura said thank you regarding your acrylic question.
That's fine, thank you. Now you can see again how smooth it's not really building up that much. That needs to go in there. And then that's ready to file in. So you have to make it a compound. Plus also, by putting the sealant on, what it's going to do is absorb any excess powder on the top there, which makes it clear. If you file it without sealing it, what tends to happen is you've got all these tiny little beads that are going to trap dust. So you're not going to get the clarity of colour. So that's another reason why you seal before you file. So don't miss out that step. It is actually very important. The sealant is a finer enigma to the poly base. The poly base is more absorbent because that's got to absorb all the powder. All this does is actually then seal it through. We don't want to add any more bulk, we just want to pop all the colours with that one. I quite like it when they come back from maintenance because it really enriches that colour when it comes out. I'll put it on so it can come out now. So I've done a 60. Okay, so wipe with cleanse. And then again, because when you feel that, there's no lumps and bumps. All you need to do is lightly buff over the top. But please just don't leave as it is, because what you want to do is refine it through here. Bring your shape back in. Sharpen up your shape. But this is how quick it is to file, because that is so smooth. It's exactly where I want it to be. You can actually see there's not really left to do. So that's why we don't call it filing, we call it refined filing. And I can actually use this lovely soft buffer, which feels nicer for the client. And for me as a technician, I'm feeling that I don't actually have to do too much work to it, which is great. It's totally odourless, so if you're a beauty therapist that does gel polish and wants to move into nail enhancements, it's perfect for you. If you're in a spa, you can now do nail enhancements because there's no smell to it whatsoever. It soaks off very quickly, it's kind to the natural nail, and that's how easy it is. Look how quick that is. Now you can see why I can file a set of 5 fingers in 2.2 minutes 55 seconds to be precise, because we put the stopwatch on it earlier. Okay, right with lens.
Natalie's asked if you can do a French manicure with it.
Yes, you can. Our French manicure, I'll just talk you through. I'll just seal this, and while it's sealing, I shall show you how to quickly do that. We did do that earlier on, and we have a step-by-step. Look at that. See how it's enriching that colour. See, it's not fat at all, and when that cleans off, that'd be beautiful. In you go, 30 seconds. So if I was doing a French manicure, we've got the opaque pink, okay? So with the opaque pink, you then do your line up your products like you do here. Okay, so what you would do, green for go. If you're doing it on a natural nail, you do your prep. Then you bond. Then you put first coat of your poly base on. Then you cure it, because remember that first coat of your poly base is what's going to adhere all the layers together and bond onto your natural nail. Okay. Once it's cured, you paint on your poly base again, and you dip into your opaque powder, and you cure it. When it comes out, if it's on natural nails, remember you only dip once. If it's on a short extension to there, you only dip once. If it's on extension like mine, on the second dip you only go 2/3 down the nail, so you don't overbulk your cuticle area. So once it's been cured for the second time, it comes out and you seal it. And you seal it and it's ready then to file. So once it's cured, you come out and then you file it. And then we use brush on French white. The beauty of this, it's the finest white we've got. You don't feel the ridge on it at all. It's not over bright, but it's a polar white. I'll show you what it is. When it comes out, you can actually see the beauty of it. But because it's so thin, and you only need one coat as well, over the opaque pink, you've got the perfect French. So that when you seal it, after you've cured it, you don't have any bulk at all, and you cannot feel where that white touches the nail. It's perfect. Okay, so when that comes out, I hope that's answered her question.
Terry Goodwin's asked if you can use this over tips as well.
Yes, that's what this is on here. I've just done this one over a tip, and you can use it on natural nail. I've got tips on, okay, and then the first demo I did earlier on was over a natural nail. So if you missed that live feed earlier on, go on the Facebook page and you can see the natural nail one. So this is designed for 2 things. One, to reinforce natural nails. You can actually, if you're a permanent polish user, then the beauty of that is if your client comes in and, like for me for example, I can't just wear permanent polish. My nails aren't strong enough for that. So the perfect thing for a permanent polish is that if they've got ones that keep breaking, you can reinforce that. So you'd use it and then put your permanent polish on afterwards. If they're a permanent polisher user and they've got this one broken and maybe this one keeps flaking, you can just reinforce those couple of nails and then permanent polish all of them. So you can use it to repair natural nails as well. If you put a tip on, you can use it to enhance and extend that natural nail up. So you've got the best of both worlds really, and that's why it's so perfect. I can do a new set with tips in 24 minutes. I can do a natural overlay, it's 15-20 minutes, and that includes my polish finish. It's perfect. And so simple, hence the name Simplicity. So there you have your maintenance, and there you have your colour overlay building with the Simplicity range. Any other questions?
You know, with the white, how would you do it? Would you do it downwards or would you do it across?
What must I do a smile line?
You know, when you put the white on, how would you
This one?
apply it? You apply it.
How I do a French on a smile line, I take it from one side to the other. It's got oil on it. So to apply my French white, how I do it, I start here. I always get rid of the excess off my brush. I start here. I go across. And then I just straighten up. It's down to, I think, with French, again, I think people overthink it. When I'm doing a French white, I'm actually looking at the front part of my brush here that comes out. Most people do, and they don't turn the finger. Start here, and as you come across, turn the finger, so your brush is almost stays stationary, rather than me trying to come round the corner. So what I tend to do, I get rid of the excess, because then as I'm coming across, I pick up excess product, because a lot of people, when they come across, they lose and run out of product. So by doing it this way, even though I'm doing it over purple, so I get my corner and I come up to my centre line, okay? And do it slowly as well, don't do it too fast. And then I'm twisting the finger and coming down. And then on this length I would have to come back and stroke, but hopefully, like I did earlier, when they're smaller, you just do one line.
Terry's just asked really quickly, this looks fantastic, thank you. Do you offer any starter packs, as I've had to stop doing acrylics because I've become really sensitive to the smells, and what is the name of this product?
It's Simplicité. This is our new kit. This is the starter kit that's coming in. It's Simplicité. It's a polydip system. This is the sample kit. With that you get all your bottles that you need to do the system, and you will get the pink silk, which is my favourite colour. Is the most natural one out of all of them and gives a little bit of warmth. Clear, remember, clear is quite a cool colour, so it's ideal for building a bulk and that over clients. Some people do like to just work in a clear, but I feel the pink silk gets a nicer colour. We've got the opaque powders and we've got lots of different colours as well. Later on we'll be getting a bigger kit that comes in, but waiting for those to arrive from the States. But this is now to buy now. You can actually get up and running with it, which would be great. In the salon we do a lot of it where I'm building the pink silk all the time, because some of my clients still like the permanent polish colours over the top. So that's quite easy for me because it's the same colour underneath and I don't have to soak off. You don't want to, I'll put anything in a photo. No, what you do is put it on the jar.